Alright, today I will be tying up the Fleece Leech or Fleech. It is a pretty simple pattern designed to imitate a leech that's swimming. So it's got a flattened body, underbelly here, it's got a hidden bead so you can jig it back up and down, it'll right hook point up. And you'll see that this is one of the most simple flies you could possibly tie. When you get a piece of fleece from somewhere like Joann's Fabric, you'll notice when you stretch it out, there's a sort of a side that's not as stretchy and a direction that's very stretchy. And when you're cutting this to shape, you don't want to cut this way, you want to cut it along the not so stretchy side. And that'll help you to prevent from pulling apart and breaking down. Much more durable this way. So we'll start off with a size 8 hook. 2x long here. You want a little bit of length here to give some of the body before you create the tail that's going to wave. And I like to do about 2.5 hook lengths. I think 2.5 to 3 is a good distance here. So you'll cut this along the not so stretchy side. Then you'll take this and create a nice leech shape, kind of triangle to start, right? So you got your little beginnings of your leech shape, and then you're gonna kind of round off the edges here and taper it so that the front part where you're gonna be tying it in is a nice small tie-in point here. And so here you go, here's your little leech pattern. It helps to have a long scissors for this so that you're not trying to do 1,000 small cuts, but you have one long strip that you can do. You can also make it, 3 times as long so that you can have much more of a leechy action. But I find that this size is probably perfect for bite-sized snack for the fish. So I'll start my thread here. I'm using Semperfli black nano silk and tie it in. And we're going to tie in to start some 15-pound monofilament here to be our anchor for our weight. So instead of using dumbbell eyes, I mean you can if you'd like. I've had some patterns where I've used it, but I find that this methodology allows you to have that hidden bead effect, and so keeps it a little bit more subtle. So onto here I'm going to be putting on a tungsten bead. You can put in 1 or 2 depending on how deep you need to get, but slide it in here like so and then just tie it off. It doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't really matter what direction it's pointing because it's going to all be hidden underneath here. And then I will snip off this excess piece of mono. So one thing to note here, I left about an eye length space between the bead and the hook because this is where we're going to be doing most of our tying. The next material we're going to be using is iStub chenille here. It's a pretty low profile chenille, but it's got a nice peacock shimmer to it in black. So we'll bring it to the base of where your barb would be, and we're going to tie this in. Now this chenille has 2 functions. The first function, of course, is the underbody. It's going to wrap here and give it a little bit of shimmer and some body. But more importantly, what this is going to do is provide the base from which the fleece can't go any further, right? So right here, when we add the fleece in, it's going to be creating a little dam so that the fleece can't move forward past that. So we'll do a little half hitch here, put it on our bobbin cradle, and we'll wrap this forward. And we'll just wrap all the way up to the eye. So once we get to the bead, you'll just kind of work yourself around the bead and tie off here. And again, giving yourself a little bit of space so that when we get to tying in our rest of our materials, you'll have a little landing pad. And tidy up a bit. Alright, so we got our underbody done. Then we will add next material, which is our bruiser blend, and we're going to blend it a little bit with some of this black eye stub. You know, if you want much more of a natural approach, you can just use some black dubbing like bruiser blend or Arsenio's laser dub, but I like to add a little bit of shimmer to it. You know, you can go flashier with some other stronger flash, but I think this black eye stub is really nice. It's got a subtlety to it. So we'll rip stack it and tie it in so that the length is a little bit, about the length of the body, maybe a little more, and we'll cinch it down and kind of spread it out so that it covers up that bead, and we'll fold over the rest here and create a nice clean landing pad for the fleece. And that's it. I mean, this is the base of your fly. And now all we're going to do is flip this upside down and measure out where we want to put our fleece. So we'll take the fleece piece that we have, and we want to measure it so that the front of the fleece will land right there in the tying area, and pinpoint where on the fleece the base will be right here, and kind of prick that right in the center. Similar to using zonker strips, right? You pull it in here like so, put it back on your hook. And as you notice here, the fleece is going to butt up against this eye stub or the chenille, and it won't be able to go any further. So that's anchoring your fly there. And you pull it over to this point right here. You don't have to pull it as tight. I think it's fine to give it a little wiggle room, but pull it up to the eye. Give your bobbin a counterclockwise spin and gathering wrap to bind it down, and then just tidy up your section here. Give it a couple whip finishes. And this fly is done. Right? So the chenille gives it a little bump here, give it some body right in the front, as well as the laser dub. It hides the bead, so you can put two beads, you know, back to back in here to give it a little bit more weight, or a larger bead, either way. And then of course your longer this is, the more you'll have that undulation, but then the longer it is, you'll have a little bit more risk of fouling. So, you know, 2.5 inches or lengths of the hook seems to be just right. And it's a very simple pattern, but proven to be effective. Even the short time that I've been able to test it out in the water, you know, it gets wet, it holds its shape, doesn't fray as long as you cut it along the not so stretchy side. And yeah, let me get this wet, and then you'll see what it looks like. So the fleece soaks up all that water and gives it a nice leech-like body. And in the water, again, it holds its shape, so you'll kind of get that flat undulation as it swims, as you jig it back and forth. Happy tying!